Good morning, everybody. This is Donna Emmons. I am in the great state of Minnesota. Visiting my son and family here for Mother's Day weekend. So I'm so glad that you all could join us, and we probably still have some people signing in. So I do want to make a disclaimer at the beginning of this that this is Donna Emmons' tips for writing your fiscal year 20 Early Childhood Block Grant. You're also hearing Lori Morrison-Frichtel from the Illinois Head Start Association. Want to say hi, Lori?
Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well and enjoying their Friday, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms we have on the phone. So we look forward to hearing Donna and listening to her tips and her expertise. She's the best.
Oh dear. Don't know about that. But, if I were writing one of these grants, these are things that I would do. And I had heard that maybe the State Board of Education Early Childhood folks might be listening to the call today. And if they are, I'd like for them to comment in the chat box if I make a mistake on, my interpretation of the RFPs. So, I know they have some restrictions on what they can and can't say, but if I blatantly make some kind of error, I hope they do comment. So we are going to record this webinar, and it'll be on the Illinois Head Start Association website, and we can put the PowerPoint up there too. Don't you think, Lori? I think that would be good.
Yes, I think it'd be really helpful.
Yeah. Okay, I'll also give another disclaimer that you may hear a puppy dog barking in the background, but maybe not. We'll see. He's a little active puppy, and he's a cutie though. Oh no, I get a little deal here that says the Early Childhood Division is watching. Okay, we'll see. All right, let's get going then. I will also tell you that I'm going to kind of bounce around on the web to show you some of the documents and the websites, so you'll have to excuse my clumsiness with that. But hey, we're just folks. So again, welcome to the webinar. Now we'll see if why is my screen not changing? I didn't try that out. Oh, it changed.
There you go.
Wonder if there's going to be a delay. All right, we'll see. Well, we're going to do some grant details, and many of you may already know some of these things, but I don't know who is on the webinar, so there may be some folks that may just be deciding to write one of these RFPs. The deadline, the due date, is June the 10th, 2019, which is about a month away since this is May 10th. There's a 4 p.m. deadline. You can submit electronically or mail a paper copy. Your paper copy must have a USB drive with a complete application on the drive, or you can hand deliver it to ISBE in Springfield. And all of this information is, very upfront in the RFP. I will note that this is to hand deliver it. It's to ISBE in Springfield. I had someone talking to me about a month ago talking about the last RFP, and she tried to deliver it in Chicago, and she didn't get her application in because the address is Springfield. So if you're hand delivering, it's in Springfield. It must have all original signatures, and you need to look through those RFPs completely in the forms because there are a lot of places for signatures. Allow time for mailing if you're going to mail it, or if you're going to hand carry it. If you're going to drive it to Springfield, better calculate that time and add an hour or two extra just in case. If you are mailing it, again, allow plenty of time, and we recommend certified mail with a signature so you know that it got there and the time that it arrived. All right. Also, check the ISBE Early Childhood website for the RFPs, the attachments, and very importantly, the scoring criteria, which is found in each RFP. So there's lots of good information on ISBE's website around these RFPs. You need to read them all thoroughly and decide which one, or maybe all of them, you want to apply for. Watch the webinars that ISBE has on its website. And most importantly, read the FAQs. I want to go over to the ISBE website. Let's see if I can do this halfway decently. Anyway. So I'm going to Google ISBE and go to their website. I'm going to scroll down and find early childhood. Request for proposals right there. Again, I apologize if this is too simplistic for some people, but you never know. So here they are. These are the 3 proposals. There's PFA, PFAE, and PI. And this is the webinar recording of the live presentation that ISBE did about all 3 of these webinars. They have the recording, the presentation PowerPoint, and these frequently asked questions. You know, this 12 pages, so they're 12 pages, and they'll probably be adding to it, so check back to see. Then each of these, here's PFA, let's see what's under here. There's the RFP, the forms, and again, a webinar recording that is specific for the PFA RFP. So again, and take a look at them. It talks a lot about, too, about the different ways you can do these proposals to submit them. There is electronic submission, so it's described really well right here, and through the ISBE Attachment Manager. So, you know, take a look at that, and you can submit it electronically. In my mind, that's probably the easiest approach, but if you've never done something like that, you might feel more confident doing a hard copy. So now let's get back to the PowerPoint. The applications must be able to show a service gap in the area you're writing to serve. In essence, applicants should do a slot gap analysis of their service area. And this is, you can do this with attachment 13. And attachment 13 on each RFP talks about this slot gap analysis. And we're going to talk more about that later in the webinar. But being able to show that there's a need in your community, that there are kids out there who don't have a program, is one of the most important parts of this grant. We don't want to overserve areas. If there are already programs that full and have no waiting list, or maybe they're under-enrolled and don't have a waiting list, we don't need to add more slots that would be under-enrolled with no waiting list. The other thing, a priority is going to be given for applications that propose to serve children in Tier 1 or Tier 2 school district boundaries. Now, I'm basically a Head Start person from forever, so I didn't even know what Tier 1 and Tier 2 school boundaries were all about. But in the RFP, there is a link to the EBF, or Evidence-Based Funding Distribution Quick Facts. There's a link to go there, and that site lists all of the school districts in the state, and it tells what tier they are. And I'll show you an example here. This is a screenshot of the first page of the, as you can see over here with my little pointer, evidence-based funding for 2019, the quick fact sheet. And it would have the district name here and the county they're in, and then here's their tier assignment. You know, I highlighted this column. And of course, there are many pages of this because all the school districts in the state are listed. So if you know your school district, you can look them up here. They don't appear to be alphabetized, so you might want to find your county over here. And then you can see what the school districts are in the county and what tier they are. So you see a lot of 2s and 1s, but there's some that are 3 and 4. I heard Carissa Hurley from ISBE say on the webinar the other day, in an answer to a question, that if you're in a Tier 3 or Tier 4 district, it's certainly fine to write. You may or may not be funded, but the priority will be given to the Tier 1 and Tier 2 applications from those particular areas. This grant has a 4-year grant cycle. It begins July 1st, 2019, and then the following 3 years, after this year beginning in July, will be continuation grant years. And you'll write then a continuation grant each of those years, pending money, pending funding appropriations. There will be another 3 years. And those have been electronic grants in the past. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking ISBE, they had a grant competition last year, and it was for 5 years. So we're having another one this year for 4 years. I kind of think they're trying to get those to align so that all of the ECBG grants will be up at the same time for probably another recompetition for everybody. That's just Donna talking, but it seemed to kind of make sense. That's why this one was for 4 years. Very, very, very important. Be sure to check out this GATA, DUNS, and SAM requirements. It talks about it in the RFP and gives you links of where to go for those. And you should do this first because you need to get some approvals there and some numbers to use in your grants. There's no font size specified that I could find. And sometimes in a grant, it'll say you have to use a certain font. The pages are limited to the pages in the RFP forms section. And my understanding is that you don't add additional pages. So you don't copy page attachment, whatever, page 1 and have another page 1 continued and another page 1 continued, that you shouldn't do that. You should just, it's a 1-page answer to the question. So in some ways that's good, and in some ways you really have to limit yourself to making sure that you're concise, but you explain completely what you're going to do. If you're not a public school, you'll have to answer some questions about your mission, your agency's mission, your goals, your policies about early childhood, and your organizational structure, which I think, for instance, Head Start programs that aren't in a public school, you know, they all have, and so does childcare has mission and goals. Okay, be sure to keep checking the ISBE Early Childhood RFP webpage in case there are updates to the RFPs. There's already an update to the Preschool for All expansion and the PI RFPs as of April 15th. And when you open those RFPs after the updates, the changes within that RFP have been highlighted in yellow, so you can see immediately what was added or what was changed. I've only seen that there's been one update as of April 15th for those 2 RFPs. More hints. Use the helpful checklist in each RFP to make sure you have all the required parts of the grant ready before you submit. And we'll take a look at that in a minute. Use only the pages provided in the form section. You know, I said a little bit about the narrative pages, but don't submit additional paperwork like daily schedules for your center, professional development plans, lesson plans. None of that is asked for. In addition, you should not copy the additional pages of the narrative forms. Write your answer to the questions on the 1 page provided for each question. There's 1 page for each question, and we'll talk about that. You can include, though, letters from other early childhood education programs in your county, in your service area, showing the need in your proposed service area or your school district if that's going to be your service area. This is requested and allowable. So that's the one thing you can add are these letters. And again, be sure to use the correct narrative form page, matching the question to be answered. And you need to look in the directions section on the narrative form page to see which question to answer. Okay, let's look at that, because if it were me listening, I'd say, what? What did she say about that? Let's see if I can find it. And it'll take me a minute here. Okay. Oh no, I need to be on a form. Nope. Well, we're going to see all these pages here. I need to move I've got something blocking my vision here. Get out of the way. Okay. Here's some form pages. This one's from Prevention Initiative, I think. So like we talked about in the beginning, you're going to have your overview of the program that you're going to do in Prevention Initiative. It talks about whether you're going to do home visiting or center-based and what kind of program model are you going to have. You can go through and check these out, off what you're going to do, of course. And then here's places for signatures already. Grant writer. If someone's writing your grant, someone will have to write the grant, so they'll be right here. Okay. Excuse me. I was going to show you on the program narrative. Well, I'm going to take a drink of water, I guess. Talk. This is attachment 4, and it starts with the program narrative. So in the directions, it says address question 1 in the program narrative section of the RFP. So you want to go back to the RFP. I can find it here. So this is the PI RFP, and this page is page 16, Program Narrative Requirements. And here's some questions. And they're all numbered. So that was number one. We wanted to know about number one. So number one says, describe the area to be served indicated by high levels of poverty. So that's what you're going to be answering. I would also advise that you go on down in the narrative to the scoring pages. This is application review. These are the scoring criteria. And look at program narrative number one. Here's number one again. The area to be served indicates high level of poverty. So that's how you're going to be scored, is that if your narrative adequately talks about that the area you're going to serve indicates high levels of poverty. So you're going to match, in my mind, what I would do is look at what the criteria wants to know, look at what the narrative up here wants to know, what they're asking you to talk about, and then also be sure and put it on question number one on the page here. So I hope that makes sense. Look at the scoring criteria, look at what the narrative question is, and then put your answer on the page in the narrative that answers the same question, question one. So I think that's, I really like the way ISBE put that together. I think that's really good. All right, what else was I going to show you? Maybe nothing right now. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. Now it wants to go. Now it wants to click everywhere. All right, now we'll go down. Okay, again, follow the scoring criteria to write your grant. Each question matches the page in the narrative form, just what I was talking about. Each question is worth 5 points. So that narrative question number one was worth 5 points. And there are 20 questions, so 20 times 5 equals 100 points for a perfect score on the application. An application must score at least 60 points or above to be funded. Oh man, collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. You have to be communicating with your local school districts, your local Head Start programs, any other local early childhood programs, childcare, to see if they are writing a grant. You all need to know where the service gaps are and aren't. Even if you're not going to write a grant this time, I would still talk to the folks around you. You all need to get on a conference call or something and talk about the need in your area, or maybe things are fine and there's plenty of slots for children. Even if you checked in with everybody about the last year's FY19 RFPs, I'd check in again. We don't need any more duplication of services or any more under-enrolled programs. We want to find spots in the state, little pockets in the state where children really need the programs. And again, one of the main requirements of all these RFPs is to show the need for slots in your local area. And ISBE has put 4 different ways to show this. Showing the need in your narrative. Question 2 in the program narrative section. Remember, we just looked at question 1, but question 2 asks you to choose one of the ways below to show the need for more slots in your community. You also need to complete attachment 12 and mark the same approach to showing the need. So things need to match, you know, in the grant. So attachment 12 talks about you need to use one of these ways. And A is a letter from the local program or local programs in your area that we've been talking about that you need to be talking to, indicating that they are at capacity and have a waiting list. You know, they're full, they have long waiting lists. We need more slots, we need more programs in the area. Or you can complete attachments 12 and 13 in the RFPs to indicate a gap in slots, the slot gap analysis that we're going to talk about, compared to the eligible population of kids that are out there. You could do that. Or you could check with ICAM and have them help you show the data from ICAM. Or you can do a community needs assessment and you have information, maybe you've done one already and you have a community needs assessment that has already checked with all the early childhood programs in your community and it shows a gap in services and the need. And you could talk about that in your grant. Those are the 4 ways, and you have to pick one of those and you need to talk about it in the narrative and then you need to match it up with attachment 12. I mentioned ICAM. ICAM has some very useful information for showing your need for more enrollment slots for all of these grants. So let's take a look at ICAM. Let's see if I can. There's my little pointer. There it is. Let's go to ICAM. So here's the ICAM website, and look what they have done. They've got a quick guide to getting data for your demonstration of need right here. They also have instructions for completing the slot gap analysis. This is a picture of the form that's in the RFPs. They also have a link right over here that we sent them from the Illinois Head Start Association that lists all of the Head Start, Early Head Start center sites and home-based service areas. This does not mean you shouldn't talk to your Head Start program or your Early Head Start program in your area, but maybe you're not really sure who covers your area. So I'll show you a shot of this listing. Uh-oh, let's go. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is small. I apologize. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. As you can see, this is it's 165 pages long, so it lists every single classroom and every single home-based site in the state. So this is the first one. Here's Heartland Head Start, and it looks like it's a early Head Start. See, it'll show whether it's early Head Start or Head Start. The program name, and fortunately, the city and the state. Oh, it has latitude and longitude. Probably don't need that. But county, you can find the county. So if you're a school district in McLean County and you want to know what's going on, you can look up McLean County in here and find out how many slots and if they're center-based. And this was early Head Start, remember, so it's a full day center-based program. It even tells you over here what days of the week they meet. So this is pretty valuable. So use this. That doesn't mean you shouldn't call, as I said, but anyway, this was the data as of last March, so it's not too old, but I think it will be very helpful for everybody. Because I have heard people say to me, well, there's no Head Start in my county. Well, there's Head Start in every county in Illinois, but you know, it may not have all of the services that the children in that county need, so there may be room for some expanded slots there. All right, back to the PowerPoint. Ooh, I got lots of PowerPoints here while we were on ICAM data. So note the link, showed you the link to the Head Start data, and this data shows all the centers and the home-based locations. In addition, this is the best part, you can always call ICAM for help. Dawn Thomas and her team would be so glad to help you find the appropriate data for your grant. They enjoy it, they love to do it, and they will help you show the need for more slots in your service area if there is a need. Donna's going to take a drink again because I'm getting hoarse. Lori, did you have anything to add here?
No, but I appreciate you showing that because I think ICAM's done a really nice job of you know, recognizing support on their website. So very nice. So thanks for doing that, Donna.
Yeah. Okay, I called this right to the rubric, but I guess it's not really called a rubric anymore. People who read the grant, no doubt, will use the criteria review section that we looked at a little bit earlier. The criteria review begins on page 15 in the PFA grant, 16 in the PFAE grant, and page 18 in the PI grant. I am so sorry. Each question will be scored from 0 to 5. So here are some examples. These are just screenshots from what we looked at earlier. As you can see, every question has the same number of points. This whole section is about the population to be served. There's 30 points in all for this section. The next section then is the quality of the program. So you're going to be talking about your program and what you're going to do. That's the other main requirement of these grants is you're going to be describing what you're going to do. Why you want to, you're going to offer maybe prevention initiative home visiting. What's that going to look like? What model are you going to use? How many visits a month? You just want to describe what you're going to do, and these questions will lead you through that. And then the last, one of the last sections is your experience and your qualifications. Again, each one gets 5 points. School districts get a pass down here because if they're not in a joint agreement, they don't answer this question about their mission and organizational structure. So they get 5 points automatically here. But CB, community-based organizations and people doing joint agreements, those are school districts that are working together, they would complete this section. So most of you Head Start and Early Head Start programs would complete this section. And then there's one more section, priority consideration. This is the priority points. So the applicant is proposing to serve children located within at least tier 1 or tier 2 district boundaries, and you can document this local gap in services. And the second question is about, again, documenting the local gap in services, where you remember those 4 things: the letters from other providers, ICAM data, completing attachment 12 or 13, or you've done a community needs assessment. So you'll have to do one of those. You do it well to get 5 points. Here's the link to that evidence-based funding distribution quick facts that we looked at that showed remember we had the column that had the tier 1 and tier 2, 3, and 4 sites. So there's a link right here. I think there are other links also in the RFP. So the scoring criteria may look a bit alike, may look quite a bit alike for the 3 grants, but there are differences. The RFP says you will need to look at the compliance checklist for the type of grant you are writing, and that is very, very true. You can't write your program section without knowing what ISBE expects of a PFA, PFAE, or PI program. So it will help you with your answers to those questions. The PI RFP has a lot of additional resources. There's stuff on curriculum and information on center and home-based requirements. You might want to add a doula program or coordinated intake, health consultants, and collaboration. So there's a lot of information to read there, and it's really good. The PFA and PFAE RFPs don't have any addenda. Their information is in their compliance checklists. So I want to look at a compliance checklist and show you a little bit here. Let's see, we were looking at one a minute ago. You need to get out of the way. Let's see, that's fiscal. Nope. There we go. Okay, this is PFA, I think. Yeah, preschool for all and preschool for all expansion compliance checklist. And this is fiscal year 19, so it's current. So it tells you about your staff-child ratio, the minimum number of kids in a classroom, the files that you need to keep, records you need to keep, what requirements are for homeless children, screening. So this goes through all the things that help make up your program. You need to have a research-based screening instrument. So, this is the compliance column here, and you need to, you're not going to have room to completely use every single, comment here, but you need to definitely talk about how you're going to meet these various areas in your grant. You're going to do weighted eligibility for enrollment. You need to meet at least 2.5 hours a day for 165 days in preschool for all. Now, later on in this document, there's the section for preschool for all expansion. After question 20. Now, preschool for all expansion has to do all from 1 to 20 also, but in addition, they have to meet these compliance issues. So they meet for a full day, equivalent to first grade. So you definitely, if you're writing for preschool for all expansion, you really need to look at these in addition to the ones above, because they have breakfast and lunch. They have a physical activity for 60 minutes. The teachers' salaries need to match the local school district salaries for, I think it might say first grade or kindergarten. Let's see, teaching staff salaries are comparable to local K-12 teaching staff salaries. So, they need to do that. So definitely you have to look at these compliance checklists, because you may be writing a program that doesn't anywhere match what is needed for compliance. And I don't think you'd score very many points if you don't write to this document also, the compliance checklist and there's a different one for prevention initiative. All right. Well, we're in the wrong place. Let's see. Sorry, we're going to have to scroll through these. Went through the rubric examples, and we just talked about the differences. All right, let's talk a little bit about attachment 12. We've mentioned that several times. This is the demonstration of need. And we did a screenshot of the one on prevention initiative, but the one for PFA, there's a different one for PFA and for PFA expansion, and they do look quite similar, but a little bit different for prevention initiative. So you're going to select the option you're using to demonstrate need for an early childhood block grant program within your community per the narrative and the objectives and activities section of the RFP. So if you have talked about in the narrative part that you're going to get letters from your partners in your service area, then you're going to check this. Don't complete Form 13 and talk about ICAM data. You really need to, everything needs to match up. So again, you can get letters from local programs providing similar services. Say you're going to write prevention initiative home visiting. So you need to see what else is in the service area. Is Early Head Start out there? Is there BCBG, another prevention initiative program? Maybe IDHS has a home visiting program. Maybe McVie is in the area. So if those programs are there, you all need to see what each other's doing so you don't write for too many slots. I think I've said that a lot, and I apologize, but we want to make sure we find those areas of the state that need the services. So you could complete Form 13, which we'll talk about next. The ICAM data, you can call ICAM, or you can go on their website and find the information you need and talk about that. Also, you can, if you have a community needs assessment, or I don't think you really have time to do a very good community needs assessment now, but you may have one already in your program that shows the gap in services and the need. Again, you would have talked about that in the narrative with these two questions, number 2 and number 7. So that's what this attachment's about, and everybody would attach this to their grant. Now, if you decide to do Form 13, Attachment 13, I guess we should say, this is the slot gap analysis. And so by answering these questions, you'll be able to see if there are enough children in the age group and income level for the program you're proposing. You may want to do this first. I would say if you're proposing, your team is thinking, well, let's add 30 more prevention initiative home visiting slots to our Early Head Start program. You may want to check with all your partners and find out what's going on out there and do this slot gap analysis, because I wouldn't want to write the whole grant and then do the slot gap analysis and it doesn't show you there's a need for your program. That would not be good. And you would have wasted a lot of time writing your grant. So the PFA and the PFAE slot gap analysis forms are the same. The prevention initiative slot gap analysis is a little different since you'll be serving the birth to 3 age group. The attachment requires you to use census data and ICAM data. It also asks a school district or another entity besides an Early Head Start or Head Start program to contact their local Head Start or Early Head Start programs serving the proposed area to find out how many children they are serving. So that's a good thing to do. And if you're already an Early Head Start or a Head Start program writing, you need to contact your school district and, of course, everybody else too. I think we're going to want to go, oh, that's the budget. We'll talk about that next. Let's go back and look at this form because I wanted to show you a couple things. Lori, I'm doing all the talking here. I'm not giving you a chance to say anything. So sorry. Oh, here we go. We're on forms. Scroll down here to the very end of the forms because it's attachment 13. There it is. Okay. And again, this is for Prevention Initiative 1, slot gap analysis. The directions say complete all the questions below and information can be requested from ICAM, and you can use other resources too. It might maybe the census. So as you read through these questions, how many children age 1 to 3 are located in your service area? ICAM can help you with that. Census data could help you with that. What's the birth rate in your community? If you already have a prevention initiative program, how many are you funded to serve? Here's the one where you contact Early Head Start. What's the capacity for enrollment at the local Early Head Start? Contact them. The answer there. And then this one says, what's the capacity for enrollment for other community-based organizations, other prevention initiative, IDHS programs, McV programs, or any other locally funded programs? But you've got numbers over here. You know, what's happening out there? How many kids are there, and how many kids are being served? Then it gets into federal poverty levels. How many children birth to age 3 with a federal poverty level less than 100% of the poverty level? That's ICAM information. How many children are there birth to 3, 100 to 200% of the federal poverty level? Again, I think ICAM has that. And then there's 200 to 400%. So here's the big questions and answers here, the big calculations here. Taking into consideration the number of children in the area needing to be served, you know, you've talked about that up here in your census birth rates and how many kids are located there. How many students are still in need? So you've got the whole number that's in your area minus, you're going to subtract out the ones that are 200% and below federal poverty level. You're going to subtract out early Head Start slots. Those kids are already being served. Prevention initiative slots that might be around, and community-based organization slots. So after you have the total number of kids minus everybody that's already being served, or the number you're going to have your total need for the area. So this is how many are you requesting to serve. So don't request to serve more kids than are there that have need. So that was pretty quick and dirty, but you know, we can talk more about that, and I've never actually gone through and done calculations, but that's my interpretation of what this means. These are minus signs, and you've got to be there at the end. Hi, Lori, I hear you coughing. Did you have a comment?
No, I'm like you, though. I've been talking way too much this week, so.
Okay, so that's attachment 13. And you know, it looks a little confusing, but I think it would really benefit everyone to do that first in your area. It will get you talking to your partners, and it will also let you know what is the real need out there in your area. All right, what's next? Budget. Oh, the famous budget forms. You know, I didn't really see the budget forms in the scoring criteria this time, but I'm sure they'll be taken into account by the grant readers, because, I mean, you certainly wouldn't want to ask for $5 million or something like that for your program. So you have to use the ISBE budget forms, and you have to use attachments 8 and 9. They're not going to accept anything else. So they do have a document that's their budget resource document. It's on the website, and it's this is the link. And you need to look at pages 59 to 62. And I want to show you that. Sorry, I keep jumping back and forth. I better look at the time. I'm just talking away. Well, we still got 20 minutes. Let's look at the budget document. This is the budget. It's called Fiscal Policies and Procedures Handbook, and page 59 talks about creating an ISBE budget. Excuse me. Get to hear Donna cough a lot. Sorry about that. These are the function codes over here. And let's just take the first one, for example. Function 1000 is for instruction. And so instruction is the teacher salaries and the assistant salaries, and all of maybe substitute salaries too. I mean, we'll have to, I don't exactly remember, but you'll have to look and make sure. And I'll tell you one thing, the ISBE staff, if you get some things a little bit wrong in your budget, they will help you correct that if you're funded. They'll help you move things around and get it in the appropriate places. So don't get too hung up over your budget, other than you want it to be reasonable and meet the need of what you're asking for. So then it explains all these function codes, and then it talks about object codes. So let me show you the budget page, because that, now if I can only find a budget page here. Oh my goodness. I figured this would probably happen. Okay, where was the forms? There's a budget page. It was right there. All right, this is attachment 8. It says down at the bottom this time, attachment 8. And the next one is attachment 9. This is a budget breakdown. You're going to put the full budget amount up here. So remember we said those function numbers, and function 1000 was instruction. It goes right here. And then those object codes, the 100s, 200s, 300s, this is where your salaries go, benefits go here, purchase services, and it explains in that fiscal document more about what those individual purchase services, what they are exactly, what supplies and materials. So this will really help you put your budget together. I'm probably telling you things that you, oh, I lost it. Where did it go? There it is. And you'll see that on this budget online here, there's only certain blue areas. Those are the only lines you can use. And this one's for Preschool for All. It will say right here. Prevention Initiative is a little different. They put their home visitors and staff down here under Community Services. So the home visitors' salaries are, and center-based, I guess the center-based with the 3 instructors go down here under Community Services. So, but this is Preschool for All, or yeah, Preschool for All. Then you have to break each of those down. So this is, and they've given you several pages of this. As you can see, there's several pages here that you can use because you might need that much detail. So you'd put the function number, that was like, remember, 1000, and what's your expenditure, say 2 teacher salaries, 2 aide salaries, 1 instructional leader, something like that, and you put their salaries and their benefits, and just, you know, be thorough, explain what they are. And here's another tip. If you say in your narrative that you're going to have 2 classrooms, each with a teacher and an aide, make your budget match that. You know, don't say in your narrative you're going to have 5 teachers and 5 aides, and then you only budget for 2, unless for some reason somebody else is paying for those. But you know, everything needs to match. Make sure everything matches in your budget. Okay. I hate to go on and on about that. Do a 12-month budget, and I should show you the payment schedule section. It's over on the right of attachment 8. And again, you break your budget down as you'll need the funds. And I know that's kind of interesting because it never seems to work out with state reimbursement. Things are late sometimes, but maybe things will be changing. But this is theoretically, you're going to, you know, you'll need your staffing costs all 12 months probably. You may need more funds at the beginning for startup or technology. You will estimate the funds that you need. So let's go back real quick. On attachment 8, this is the part I'm talking about, this payment schedule. So you see there's all the months of the year. So you would break your entire budget down. You might need more at the beginning. First, you got to buy a bunch of supplies maybe if you have a new classroom, which you will have. You're adding more slots. But again, the total here of all this needs to match all your totals everywhere. So make sure everything matches. But ISBE will help you. I have great confidence there that they will. All right, what's next? Let's see. Oh, more on the budget. Administrative costs are limited to 5% of your budget. Now that's a little different if you're a Head Start program or an early Head Start program because the federal budget is 15%. But for the state, for your Preschool for All or Prevention Initiative, sometimes you can request as high as 10%. You have to show why you need it, and your ISBE consultant would have to approve that. But you probably should start out by trying to limit it to 5% of your budget. Remember, for PFAE expansion, your teacher salaries need to be comparable to your K-12 salaries of your local district, and you should have discussed this in your narrative. And again, look at that PFAE compliance checklist for the requirements. On attachment 9, detail your budget as best you can. For example, don't just say field trips. I mean, I would say field trips quarterly to the zoo, to the grocery store, the pumpkin patch, kindergarten. I mean, try to explain what you're doing, what you're going to offer the children. Be complete and accurate. Show your calculations. Be sure the staff in the budget are the staff you discussed earlier in the narrative to be hired, and be reasonable. I didn't see a cost per child suggested. My idea would be to base Preschool for All expansion on a Head Start program's costs, because Preschool for All expansion is very, very much like Head Start. And you might want to base Prevention Initiative on your early Head Start costs if you're an early Head Start program. Just do your best on the budget. And again, I think if you're funded, the ISBE staff will help you if you need more detail. Lastly, I thought I'd mention just a few possible ways to layer funding, and this is where ISBE may weigh in later and say, nah, I don't know, Donna, about that one, but Head Start funding is pretty flexible, and they love things to be layered with state funding and other funding. So part day, say you have a part day Head Start program, you could extend it to full day by adding Preschool for All expansion funds. Maybe with those expansion funds, you could add a third person in your classrooms. You know how we need all hands on deck these days we have challenging behaviors and lots of trauma-informed services that we need to provide our children and families. You might be able to add more mental health consultant hours. Those are just some ideas of things you might add. Say you're already a full day Head Start program. You could add Preschool for All expansion funds to add a teacher with a PEL to your classrooms, or maybe the third person in the classroom, as I said earlier. Maybe more mental health consultation time. Excuse me. Extend the day past 6 hours. If your full day was 6 hours, if families really needed, 8 to 10 hours, maybe with PFAE, you could layer those funds and have a full day situation, a really full day situation, or full day, full year. Add home-based prevention initiative slots to existing home-based early Head Start program slots. Layer your Preschool for All services with childcare, which would mean adding a PEL teacher to a childcare classroom. Add home-based prevention initiative slots to an existing Head Start program or a childcare program. And my thinking on this was that becomes a pipeline then into Head Start or into your childcare program for 3 to 5. So those kids could transition right into your Head Start or your childcare program. I think my next slide is to email ISBE. They've said that to email them at earlychi@isbe.net with questions, or call them. They will do their best. Like I said, they are restricted to what they can and can't say, but they would certainly be glad to help if they can. Also, you can call me or Lori, and we'd be glad to give our opinion. We're not the State Board of Education, but we have experience with some grants, and we could hopefully help you. And I wish you best of luck on this, and I hope everyone who's on the call applies. I think this is a real opportunity to make sure that we're serving those pockets in the state that really need services. Lori, did we have questions that we could answer?
There's one question that we haven't answered yet, and it says, for prevention initiative, why does the slop gap analysis begin with children ages 1 to 3 and not 0 to 3?
I think the 0 to 3 is the next question asks about your birth rate. So that probably takes in the 0 part. You know what I mean? But I don't really know. So if that's Donna's guess on why ISBE put that together. So I see a question right now that popped up about the grant being available each year, and I don't think anyone knows that. It's based on what the legislature in Illinois decides to do. We've been lucky these last few years to have several opportunities for people to apply for prevention initiative and Preschool for All and Preschool for All expansion. So I don't know what the future holds. But if you get the grant this year, I think if the funds are there, you're kind of guaranteed another 3 years after this year. And yes, we'll share the PowerPoint. We'll have the recorded webinar with all my coughing on it on the Head Start, Illinois Head Start website with the PowerPoint too. I tried to put a lot of words on my PowerPoint slides so you could go back and look at that in case you don't want to have to listen to me talk and cough.
You did a great job. It was straight to the point, Donna. So
we'll see. So any other questions, Lori? I kind of wasn't looking when they popped up on my screen. I apologize, but maybe we answered everybody.
Yeah, Yeah, it's hard to when you're talking to watch the chat box. So there were several questions about sharing the PowerPoint. So just to reiterate, we'll put the PowerPoint and the recorded webinar today on the Illinois Head Start Association website. I've shared that link in the chat, but just in case you missed it, it's ilheadstart.org, and it'll be under What's New. So we'll put the PowerPoint right there in the link to the webinar. So you will have it right there on the front page of our website under What's New.
That's great. Good. Oh boy, I see a question about indirect cost rate. I don't know much about indirect cost rate. I don't think it's required. That might be a question for ISBE. I think it tells you in the RFPs how to figure that to some extent. So that's about all I better say on that. Unless, Lori, do you know anything more about indirect cost rate?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, Jeanette.
Yeah. Other questions? Thank you, Jeanette. Wait a little bit.
Does anybody from the ISBE team that's on the call or webinar right now have anything to add or share?
They may have had to leave the call.
Yep, maybe.
They can let me know, and we can post something if I made some major error. They were like, "No, Donna, that's not right." But I really don't. I can't think what I would have said that might not be correct. So.
Yeah. Yep.
But again, remember, this was Donna's view on this, so.
It's a great help, Donna. If I was writing, this would be so helpful. So, and I hope everybody on the phone is writing.
I do too.
So go for it.
You've got 4 weeks. That's plenty of time to put this together.
Yes, you can do it.
You can do it. Yep.
Yep.
Well, shall we give people 5 minutes back on their day or 6 minutes back?
They probably like that.
Getting early out for lunch or something? I don't know. A lot of people are going ahead leaving since we're not really saying much here. Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you, Donna, so much I know it takes a lot of work to put a PowerPoint together and, to switch back and forth between your slide deck and, going live on the web. So, it was very helpful. I learned so much. I really want to thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you, Brandy. I see Brandy said thanks. Thank you for attending. So thanks, everybody that's still on the call, on the webinar, for attending, and best of luck. Have a great day. Take care.
Happy Mother's Day to all moms. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.